You're now listening to the Diversity Roundtable. I'm Pamela Xaba, entrepreneur, inclusion enthusiast, and the founder of Nonkosi Creatives with over 2 decades as a corporate HR professional. My goal is to give you insights into conversations with entrepreneurs and corporate professionals who have insightful stories of triumph and leadership. I uncover my personal journey from cultivating diversity and promoting inclusive communities. We'll also find out why building a prosperous society is vital for leadership roles. Subscribe and get ready to rise, lead, and help define the spirit of South African excellence. Good day. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for tuning in. I am your host, Pamela Xaba, for the Diversity Roundtable. We are excited to be bringing another impactful episode of this platform where we'll really be unpacking with 2 academic leaders from the Central University of Technology in the Free State. I'm just particularly so excited because we're going to be talking about shaping the future of work and talking about unpacking the evolving HR Summit, which is now going to run 2nd year in a row, and it's coming up this September. So with me, I've got Professor Kokt, who is a professor in the Human Resources Program at the university. I also have Ms. Maraka Lefera, who is a lecturer in the Human Resources Program at the university as well. So ladies, welcome. So how we will unpack this discussion today, we've got 5 segments, and I think because I'm talking to academics today, and I know that you guys like structure and you like things to have a certain flow so that it's easy to follow, and also for our listeners and our viewers in terms of just following the conversation. So we'll unpack really this in 5 segments. So, but before we get into the nitty-gritties about, the HR Summit, that you are part of this impactful team that is planning it. So let's just start off with really understanding who you are first, because once the titles are stripped and there's just a good old human being that is left. So we really want to understand really your personal and your professional journeys, who you are, what you come from, your passions, your joys, your wins, what keeps you excited, what keeps you motivated, why are you even in this field, human resources, and what does it mean for you on a personal level? So ladies, no pressure. No pressure. Let us just relax, and we will kick off with you, Prof. Just talk to us about who Professor Desere Kokt is on a personal level and what has led you to this space in your professional life. Obviously sharing stuff that you are comfortable to share. Over to you.
Thank you, Pamela. Good morning. It's wonderful to be here. We are so privileged to have you as part of our team. So I'm Desere Kokt. I am Professor in Human Resource Management at the Central University of Technology. My journey has been always to understand human behavior. So I think I have a passion for it. I have a passion for not just human behavior, but also to look at humans in their work context, to see, and especially in a highly evolving, technologically advanced environment that we work in, and also with the advancement of AI, to see how that will influence the future world of work. So, yes, of course, I am an academic. I have postgraduate students. I do have book projects and all those. But I must say I'm also a grandmother, and that to me is a wonderful part of my life. And yes, and I love my life. I love my work, and I'm privileged to be here today, Pamela. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. You are a very good-looking grandmother, I must say.
Thank you.
You don't even look like a grandmom. So,
Thank you.
But thank you so much, Prof. And I'm just really looking forward to the discussion today and really the hopes and the dreams that you have for the university and your students. So with that in mind, let's just go over to Maraka and just talk to us about who you are. You know, it's very important to understand the person behind the title. So over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Pam, for the invitation and for being part of our team. It's really amazing experience. Maraka, firstly, is the award-winning lecturer or an academic. She has won several awards, including the Vice Chancellor's Excellence Awards at the university for the past 2 consecutive years. So, yeah, and other awards outside the university, though. But I'm a hardworking, determined, and energetic and enthusiastic individual who always strives to achieve her goals and also collaborating with others, because sometimes it's not all about you, but it's all about working together to achieve specific goals that will impact the society, even our students. You know, so I believe in the power of collaboration and also seeing growth in human development, you know, like individuals growing from a specific angle from A to B, you know, and I'm very passionate about student development. And I really like to involve myself in activities that unleash students' potential, because it's very exciting to see as students who just entered the university for the first time and they are not sure who they are, what to do, what do they want to achieve out of the HR program, you know, because HR, it's very broad. Sometimes they feel that, no, it's just hiring and firing, which is not the case. But there are so many careers that one could follow within the HR space. And I think I am there to unleash that potential, and then they follow their path, and it's always exciting to see their growth at the end of the day. Thank you.
Wow, that's really amazing, Maraka. And also you are a role model for the students as well, because you are also a product of the university, am I correct?
Yes, I
And
am.
we were also once a student at the university. So I think with you now being on the lecturer's seat, it just really gives the students hope, right? That these things are possible. And I'm really glad also that our paths crossed last year when you were arranging the first summit, the HR summit. So I'm just really particularly excited as well, Prof and Maraka, to see that you are continuing with the vision of making sure that the HR Summit becomes an annual event. So we are here then today to see how can we best assist to amplify the voice of your HR Summit and making sure that we've got more voices on board and to elevate the flag of the CUT HR program. So with that in mind, I'm also very privileged to be part of your team. Thank you for calling me on board to be on your advisory board. And, so I'm also a community builder and I like amplifying people's voices. So you have come to the right person as well. So let's get into the discussion before I start preaching and talk about other things. So our second theme that I'd like us to unpack is really to talk about the vision, the purpose, the objective of the summit. So this is going to be the second year running, right? And it really is talking about shaping the future of work, talking about upskilling employees, talking about well-being, talking about AI integration, and what does this mean also then in the context of the human resources field and the greater impact on society as well. So with you, Prof, let's just then maybe, what is the vision and the purpose that you have for this summit? Where do you see it going under this theme?
I think it's very important for the students to get a sense of what the world of work looks like out there. And it's not always possible to place them all in industry. Although we have a work integrated learning component, we sometimes have quite large classes and large groups of students, and we want to expose them to what it looks like in industry. So for us, it's important to bring in industry partners so that they can see what's happening in industry, and also what types of skills they need when they are out there in industry, so that they can also know what are the skills that they need to develop on a constant basis, and then also to get some collaboration and partnerships, and to see maybe people that they can approach for possible work opportunities and industry exposure or internships. So to help students also in terms of making their choices in terms of the HR field as well, and also maybe to get their foot in the door so that they can start somewhere in building their own careers.
Prof, this is really commendable. I mean, just to see the two of you as academic leaders, and of course with the committee that you work with in putting together the summit, that it just really demonstrates that, you know, as leaders, one, but two, as an institution, you care deeply with what happens to the students beyond the classroom, right? Am I correct in saying that?
Yes. Also, as a University of Technology, our focus is on preparing students for the world of work. We've got a more vocational, practical approach as well to work and work exposure. So I think this summit fits in very well with also the focus of a University of Technology.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Prof, for that. And I would just really like to also hear from you, Maraka, just, you know, your thoughts, building on what Prof has elaborated. Your thoughts are just around the vision and the purpose of the summit, especially with you, because you've got the operational lens, you are on the ground, you are dealing with the teams that are putting this together, you know. So in your mind, how do you see the picture of success being the second year of this summit in the running in terms of the vision and the purpose thereof?
No, actually, it's interesting to say we have already. We can say this is a success even from the first year we started it, because from last year's summit, some students were hired by a specific one of the companies that were at the summit. You
Wonderful.
know, yeah, like when Prof is saying presenting internship opportunities. So early this year, I think about 2 or 3 students were hired who were part of the summit.
Oh,
you know,
wonderful.
and when such opportunities were presented, they were at the right place. And they
Yes.
got the right information and they applied right away. So I would say it's one of the success stories that we can say currently about the summit, and our business advisory board members have increased after the summit. So as the department, we have got more industry partners within the program. So then the vision of it, as Prof had said, is to develop our students, to link our students with the industry. You know, it's very important for you to get exposed to see the HR manager before you can even graduate. They become their role models, because at the end of the day, seeing an HR manager of a specific country or company, then you're like, no, I want to be like her when I finish.
Yes.
You know, you have the picture already. Then another part is, most of the time, we, like Prof had said, we have a large number of students, and for placement, it's a challenge. So us bringing in these different companies on board at this HR summit, it also opened doors for students to be placed in certain companies and get exposure. So, and again, this year we are adding another element into the summit whereby students get to sit on a table with HR leaders. Then
Yeah.
they get to network and ask them questions.
Yes.
Not at a very high level, but at their
Yes.
level. in the
Yes.
same, giving them a seat
Yes.
before they can even graduate. That's really amazing, because they will be motivated. They will know, where does this person, where did they start? How did they start? Because there
Yes.
will be so many activities happening during the day.
Yeah.
But that moment whereby they are sitting down together on a table, I believe it will be so powerful and impactful for them to even learn about these HR leaders. So it's always important that we expose our students as much as we can, because it enhances their learning experience, and also they get motivated to study even further. Thank you.
Sure. Actually, I'm just really, really so inspired. I also wish that I was a student at CUT. No, but honestly, jokes aside, and I just listening to you, Maraka and Prof, for one thing that comes to mind for me in that it sounds, and I'm very clear about that, this is not just an academic event.
Yeah.
So the vision that I see that you have articulated is that this is really a collaboration of, a very clear purpose of making sure that you take care of students, what happens to them beyond the classroom, but giving them real lived experiences from professionals that are in the human resources field and industry to hear first-hand experience in terms of what to anticipate when then they do leave the classroom. Am I correct?
Yes,
Correct.
definitely.
All right. So I think let's move on to our third segment, or our third theme, where we'll really now explore the key themes. So we did saying that it's shaping the future of work, but I'm just really particularly interested, in terms of how did you get to a space where you chose topics for your theme, like inclusive leadership, mental health, AI integration. And I think, Prof, you spoke earlier as we were sitting and preparing for this podcast, what does really AI integration mean in academic institutions? How does it work practically? And what are some of the challenges? What is it that you can caution students on ethically? And how do you see the future of AI under the theme shaping the future of work, but then delving into other topics as well, like inclusive leadership and well-being? And I think the other one, sorry, let me just check my notes. And I think we also spoke about upskilling. So really then to summarize, why were these themes chosen? And what do you reflect about the current or the future state of work? I know that it's a long-winded statement, but then just as you visualize, how did you come about this theme? Why did we choose those topics? But especially you, Prof, if you can delve critically into AI integration and what it means for academic institutions.
I think those terms that you've mentioned are all very critical aspects for the new world of work. So the new world of work is a term that was phrased because of the fact that we have a lot of technological advancement that we need to consider, because technology is changing the way we work and the way we live our lives as modern human beings. So also to take cognizance of the fact of how this will change, the types of skills people need in the world out there, and definitely something like upskilling. All organizations in all countries is affected already by AI, and all of them needs to go through processes of upskilling, because AI and its various technologies that it enables necessitates that people learn these new skills and that they be able to work in a much more interconnected and complex environment than what they used to in the past. So I think the whole notion of AI, and then another thing that I also feel very passionately about is, and this will also come out in the summit, is management and leadership development, because we need leaders in this new world of work that are able to drive the processes of change, of development, and then also having the right skills and competencies to do this. So in terms of leadership in this new world of work, is also a very pertinent topic. And then other things like inclusion and the things that goes with that. If you think about a very diverse work environment, not just in South Africa, but globally. So diversity is a pertinent issue together with technology, together with AI integration. So those aspects are really important for the students to take note of when they move into the workplace.
No, thank you so much, Prof. And really, just listening to what you're saying, you have for this summit, together with the organizing committee and Maraka, chosen really pertinent topics that are, on top of mind today. I mean, inclusive leadership has been spoken about, but, sometimes in other spaces we are still yet to see it in action, so, and you spoke a lot about diversity as well, but I'm going to come back to you because I just really want to hear your depth around AI integration in our institutions, but so hold that thought. So when, let me just move over to Maraka and to you, Maraka, really just in terms of building on what Prof said in terms of how these themes were, how did you get to a point where you decide from your operational view, where you being close to the ground with the students and also with the lens from last year's summit, why do you believe that these topics are still relevant in 2025, and what are you hoping to bring out in terms of the speakers and the institutions that you'll partner with for the summit? So what are you hoping to achieve by making sure that we zoom into these topics?
No, thank you so much, Pam. The world of work is indeed changing. We are in the fourth industrial revolution. We talk about it, but what's happening around? What changes are coming? Are we ready even for it? So it will also be good to see or even to hear how organizations are accepting or implementing certain functions within this industrial revolution, and not forgetting the mental issue aspect. Lately, mental issue is a big problem, especially in Africa, in South Africa, in the whole world, but it's still something that it's thrown upon. People, they still don't want to talk about it. And it's really affecting employees' performance within the workplace, the relationship, your productivity, all those other aspects. But before our students graduate, let's expose them to all these topics, and they should learn how are they being handled within the organizational sector. Because even graduating and entering the world of work on its own, it's a transition and it's a change. And it being having that transition, some can even cope. And it leads to a problem of mental wellness or mental health aspects. And then how do we even tackle all those aspects? So us bringing all these topics, it's to give our students a bigger picture of how the world is. Because, while you are on campus, you are still a student, we still care for our students. We still protect them there and there. But go and hear, the whole purpose is hear from the expert, hear from the industries, what is happening. So at least you should be saying, you know what, I'm ready. This is how I'm going to tackle this. This is how I'm going to tackle that. Yeah, thank you.
No, thank you so much. It really sounds like a well thought out. Of course, it will be thought out because you're in an academic institution. But honestly, I'm excited for the students. Honestly, I am, and I'm just really excited that, because when it was a time growing up, sometimes we didn't have the opportunity, and we were then just thrust into this world of work, and we're just like, like a deer caught in headlights. You don't know what you don't know, trying to find your way. So what you are doing is really, really commendable, just in terms of giving that exposure, but also picking the most topical, topics to talk about and to address, bringing in industry experts at your summit. So I'm really looking forward to it. So, Prof, I'm not gonna leave you alone with this AI, with this AI integration story in academic institutions. So maybe if you can just briefly, in maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and just really talk about what you are seeing in this space in a realistic sense. What works, what keeps you awake at night? What do you see when you mark the papers of the students? And what can you caution, our students, not only at CUT students from across academic institutions in our country and beyond, just around the use of AI in academic institutions, especially when it comes to academic writing?
So AI is a big topic in the academic space now because we realize the way in which it has transformed academics and the lives of humans and the way we live and work. We, in our deliberations, things like ethics in AI integration becomes very important. Declarations maybe of students using AI. So there are no real guidelines as yet as to how the academic fraternity will do this, but obviously there's a lot of things being spoken about. There's a lot of webinars and workshops on how you can use AI in teaching and learning, how you can use AI in research. I think the main aspect for now is that AI can assist. We can't really say students cannot use AI because AI is part of our world. So it should assist students in bettering themselves in terms of their writing and in that sense it can, but students must also know that they can't just simply copy and paste an AI generated text and hand that in for examination. So these are the types of things that we are deliberating on. And then also obviously the ethics. To what extent is it ethical to use certain AI? And then also AI can give false information in some cases. So all those things are such a huge conversation that we are having at this stage. And I think universities will, as time progress, have more clarity on how this will also impact then on student life and student training. But obviously we must integrate AI. This is part of the future. This is already part of how we do things. So teaching students to use it in an appropriate way, I think, is the best possible way forward.
No, thank you so much. It's also great to hear and to see, people from academic institutions like yourself and not shying away from this topic, but to say because it's part of our lives. And so how do we then actually guide students to use it in an ethical manner, in a way that will not compromise them as well in terms of their studies and academic research, because you are in the research field as well. So thank you so much. So I know that that's like a serious and an intense subject. So on a lighter note, let me move over to you, Maraka. We are entering into segment 4, which is the call for collaboration and partnership for this HR Summit, right? So you mentioned earlier that last year was the first one that you did, and you partnered with some corporates and students. Some of the students got placement or employment opportunities. So what is your vision this year? Because whenever I talk to you in these planning meetings, you always mention that you want this to be bigger and better, So what does that bigger and better mean then for you as part of, as someone who's quite instrumental in the planning committee in the context of the call for collaboration and partnerships for the summit?
Okay. I think bigger and better would be that firstly to get more partners for the summit, and again to maybe present opportunities to our students. It can even be workplace visit, not necessarily monetary opportunities like workplace visit where our students get to even visit these companies that are there. Maybe mentorship, maybe some representatives can say, no, I can volunteer to mentor certain number of students who are doing HR, especially their final year. And we can also participate in the summit as maybe facilitators or as part of the seat on the table, and even bring more presenters, or any way that they can do it. As we have stated that this year, we want students to be more engaged, to engage more with the corporate leaders or with the industry leaders compared to us. Yeah.
So how do then corporates realistically get involved? So let's say I'm a leader in a corporate organization or even public institutions or even civil society. Who do they contact? How do they get involved? I know that I'm also part of, the cheerleaders, if I can call it that, that's supposed to garner the support as well. But you being the leader in at the university, so how do you then visualize realistically that the corporates or civil society or even public sector institutions can get involved in your summit, seeing that this will be an annual summit. So obviously each and every year you'd want to improve and make it bigger and better. Yeah.
Okay. So now in terms of involvement for this year.
Yeah, for this
Okay,
year.
for
Let's
this
start
year.
with this year, yeah.
All right. This year they can just maybe participate because some organizations or industries that are already from last year, they are
Yes.
still continuing,
Yes.
But if we get new ones, it will be a matter of saying maybe let's send one representative,
Yeah.
then we will give them a topic on a topic that they will be presenting on. And it can also they can even come with branding,
Yes.
showcase what they do.
Yes.
In the HR department, like stalls, so that during breaks, students can go and inquire more,
Yes.
about the HR functions or HR department. How can one even apply in that company? That will be great.
Yeah.
And in any company that feels that, we really need to take part into this, they are more than welcome, especially HR related aspect.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I definitely agree with you, Maraka, because especially the reason why we even started this podcast was to really talk to influential corporate executives in academia as well, like yourselves, leaders and influential entrepreneurs, for them to actually tell their stories, their journeys in terms of their joys, their wins and their challenges, their aspirations for the spaces that they occupy. Even here with the HR Summit, it's like, how do we make it aspirational so that which was the really connects with the purpose of this platform, this podcast, to say then how do we get people like yourselves here, have the conversation and with the aim to inspire young professionals, up and coming entrepreneurs, in this case, students, right? So Prof, with your senior lens at the university, when we talk about the call to action for corporates and partnership and collaboration, what does this mean for you? So how can we best support in terms of getting more corporate voices or public sector voices as this summit will evolve, let's say maybe in the next 3 to 4 years, beyond what will happen this year? Because I think Maraka has articulated that very well.
Yes, I think as technology and AI will continue to advance and change our lives, this is going to be a pertinent issue every year, so that we address these things specifically in the workplace and in the HR space. So For us, it's interesting to see how business and industry uses the different HR tools, for example. We have, as part of our HR diploma course, we've integrated HR information systems so that the students also have, they get a certificate for that, so they can work on things like payroll and other HR information systems. So as to really to give them, like Maraka said, exposure, to let them see what it takes or to hear from someone that is an HR manager or a payroll administrator or a training and develop practitioner, so that they can see what it took these individuals to get where they are, and what else they need to add to their repertoire of skills that they already have. So that they also decide what it is that they want to focus in HR. And it's also important for us to teach the students the aspects that industry wants. I know there's sometimes a disjuncture between what we teach the students and what industry requires. So for us as lecturers, and also to see that, are we really addressing the skills from the side of industry in terms of what the students need to do. Obviously, this will evolve and change, but just to get a yearly checking in to see, are we doing the things that we are supposed to do?
No, absolutely, because this is just the beginning of the journey, right? We need to then start to talk about, what is it that we see in the future,
Yes.
Thank you so much for that, Prof. And Maraka, coming to you, then we're just looking ahead to build on what Prof has alluded to build on in terms of looking ahead lens and the future of the summit. So as you imagine, because this is your baby, right? Am I correct?
It's our baby.
It's our baby, but knowing you probably said to...
She started it.
I know, because you're just so ambitious. So what is the future and the picture of success? If you just look ahead, So, because I always say that I think when you invited me, Prof, and gave me an opportunity to be a guest speaker at the Excellence Awards not so long ago, and for me, really, it was clear that, great impact starts with a simple idea in someone's heart and in someone's mind. So you started this, so you must have had an idea. You must have had something that you saw and you're like, no, we need to do something like this, which you have articulated to expose students to real world stories and people that are in the game already.
Yes.
But then just looking ahead, what is then the picture of success in the next 5 years for you and the planning team and, in terms of making sure that this summit grows from strength to strength, at least in the next 5 years?
Okay. So, firstly, like I've said earlier, it's exposure. Exposure is very important in life.
Yeah.
It shifts your mind.
Yeah.
It's us having to partner with different industries and students getting to learn from them and even hearing their stories in terms of how they have started within the HR field or profession. It will be inspiring and motivational for our students to even work hard. So in this way, we are enhancing their learning experience because one will work harder and at the same time having to say that's the goal, that's what I want to be, that's where I want to be, and it will really make the university fun for them because it will not just be about theory, but it's also about practice, them being exposed to practice. Then in terms of the long-term goals, this year, actually we are doing it for 1 day. For now. For future purposes, probably extend it to 2 days, because our students will have more time, to engage with industries, unlike just for one day.
Yeah.
And have a big corporate sponsor, because to run a project like this, it's quite big.
Yeah.
It needs resources.
Yes.
But we through collaboration, we are still doing it quite well. But if we go bigger, definitely it will need more sponsors, partners coming into the program, and having to maybe brand it. Co-branding it's important in every business or industry. So we can co-brand with other industries who would like to say, you know what, this is a good initiative. Maybe they can even name it under their company's name as part of their CSI project or so. Yeah, but as long as through that, or as one of the outcome, our students can be placed in their companies, or they even have an opportunity to visit the workplace on annual basis. Yeah. Thank you. That's the goal. But it takes what do they say to build a village, or to
takes
it takes a village to raise a
yes.
child.
Yes.
So that's what we are striving for.
Absolutely.
Yes.
No, thank you so much for that and for that big vision, because sometimes here in Joburg, Gauteng, it's easy to take certain things for granted because we have maybe better access to certain things compared to other provinces where maybe students may not have access readily available to certain opportunities, but then to see leaders of those institutions where access is not readily available to actually say, look, let us partner, help us to spread the message, help us to get more voices around what it is that we can do for our students. So I'm always of the view that I was chatting to Prof over breakfast this morning to say that one thing that I've had to learn in my journey is to get rid of the fear of rejection. So so what that does is then that it puts you in a space where you are not afraid of asking, but as long as you're asking, it's justified. And so actually then what I'm hearing both of you saying here in terms of the call to action and partnership from corporates is really that we are asking we are asking for partners, we are asking for corporates and institutions and people from civil society that we can partner with, collaborate this to make this bigger and better as it grows year on year, to make sure that it adds value to our students and it opens up opportunities, mainly from smaller towns where access might be an issue. So if you are a corporate leader, you are passionate about the future of work, and you're passionate about the development of students as they enter the workplace, so this summit is for you. So please do come on board and walk the journey with these amazing leaders from the Central University of Technology in their HR program. So we've been talking for about 45 minutes. So I think we need to wrap it up, Maraka, before you miss your flight. So Prof, as we close, it's always good, obviously, to bring in some humor here, but then we also seriously asking for collaborations for the HR Summit. Thank you. So your closing reflections, Prof, just looking at all of the segments that we have covered, what sits then in your heart? What is the message that you would want to say to our listeners and viewers, just from a leadership lens in academia, looking at the future of work and what it means? I mean, you're looking at our unemployment rates in the country that are crippling, so what hope can you give to young people and students in this field that they need to keep going? And then sometimes maybe the answer is not in being employed, so how do they also embrace the entrepreneurship lens as they navigate their journey in life?
Pam, I think that is a very difficult question. But I feel very strongly that in the world that we live in today, in the complex environment, not that the world wasn't complex in previous generations, but I think the technologies that we have in the current world that we live in makes things maybe to a greater extent more complex. And for that reason, individuals must be open to continuously learn and develop. We won't be able, as companies, to grow and as humans to adapt to this environment if we don't have an open growth mindset where we are open to learn new technologies and new skills. And that's why the whole process of upskilling for the future, of learning these new skills, of continuously evolving and never stop learning is for me a very, very important aspect. And then also looking at one's own well-being. So in this world where a lot is expected, and I also feel our children in school in a school level, smaller children, so much is expected, and we must guide them through that. We must guide them to know themselves, to understand themselves, to be able to participate in this complex world. So the well-being of parents, the well-being of children is very, very important in this world where we can work 24/7.
Yeah.
In a previous generation, you would close your door on a Friday afternoon and you go home, and on Monday morning people can only reach you. But now we can be working like forever. So we have to look after ourselves, our mental health, our physical health as well. So this is also something I feel very strongly about.
Yep. No, definitely spot on, Prof, that we need to take care of ourselves. I mean, to your point, this is a Sunday morning and we are here in studio and we are recording. So in the good old days, it would have been like, no, we can only do this either from Monday to Friday. Thank you so much for the words of encouragement to our listeners and our viewers. You have heard it from the inspirational heart of Professor Desere Kokt from the Central University of Technology in the Human Resources Program. So Maraka, as we close, so closing reflections from you, everything that we have covered, you've articulated very well in terms of your aspirations and the future of the summit and the call for collaborations and your vision in terms of empowering the students in terms of giving them real life stories from the people that are in the game. So as we close then, what are your closing reflections for our listeners and our viewers? Also wearing a lens that you are also coming from student life that now works at the university and how you navigated that transition. So what words of hope and encouragement can you give to our young people that are listening, as well as up-and-coming entrepreneurs in various fields?
Okay, all right. Firstly, I believe that being at the university, you are at a very privileged position, because you are exposed to so many opportunities. There are so many opportunities that are advertised, but the question is how many are showing up for them?
Yeah.
The students can complain about certain aspects, but when all those opportunities are presented, they don't show up. That's a problem. So my advice is they should show up. Showing up is very important because sometimes you don't even know how to do certain aspects.
Yeah.
But you showing up, you might find somebody who's going to guide you. And say, I will mentor you, I will coach you to make your idea work, you know. And at the same time, it's very important that you get involved at the university. When I was a student, I don't remember how many organizations I've been involved with, with Prof.
Everything.
I was also, privileged to work with a professor as a student. We had a HR structure. So Prof is the guardian of it. And we are like, our guardian will hear from the seniors. And by that time, I was doing my first year.
Yeah.
Then they will be saying, no, Prof, do not trust first years to lead the summit, the organization, the structure.
Yeah.
Then we are like, oh no, here we are new, we are doing our first year, and we are now appointed in the committee. What are we going to say when we meet Prof? So, but at the end of the day, because we are so determined to make this work and to make the structure successful, then we are like, no, we will meet with her. Then we'll tell her that we are the first years, but this is what we have achieved so far, so that we're like, then she trusted us, because we showed up and we did the work. So that's some of the important aspect in life, that show up, play your part.
Yes.
Very important, play your part, because we can present all these opportunities, like bringing in industries and all that. But if you don't show up, then you miss out.
Yes.
So it's very important to show up and be involved, and also have soft skills. Soft skills are very important.
Yes.
Communication, teamwork, problem solving.
Yes.
You do not you don't have them right away, but you develop them as you are involved in activities. And emotional intelligence. I liked Prof's presentation yesterday when she talked about emotional intelligence. It plays a big role in everything that we do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you so much. You took the words right out of my mouth, Maraka, because I was going to say, everything that you are saying, it makes me think of the Power Visibility Masterclass that we had yesterday, where a Prof was a panelist in one of the discussions, and also something that the keynote speaker reiterated in his delivery, that says, just show up. You know, so sometimes it sounds simple when you say to people, just show up, but because most often we think that things have to be perfect, and we have to have it all together, but not realizing that life is a journey. Your own life is a journey, so you can never get to a stage where you think you have perfection. So because life is just really a lifelong learning journey, so you have to unlearn, relearn, upskill,
reskill,
and get into different parts. So it's just really thanks for encouraging our audience, which is really young people and upcoming entrepreneurs, to just show up. And not be afraid to make mistakes as well. So which is really also, the theme of the summit that you are planning in terms of shaping the future of work. Because when we shape the future of work, it's like delving into the unknown, right? So we know that there are certain topics that we need to embrace, like inclusive leadership, AI integration, well-being, mental health. Those are the things that we inform. But in terms of how the journey will evolve as we unpack it, we may not know, but it's just really how do we show up in the unknown, in shaping the future. So let me keep quiet. So to our listeners, we've been talking about 50 minutes now, so we need to close. So thank you for coming in. Thank you for tuning in. We have been engaging with the most impactful, inspirational academic leaders from the Central University of Technology in the Free State, where we are unpacking the topic, or the theme rather, for their upcoming second edition of the HR Summit that is planned to take place in September this year, which talks about shaping the future of work, reflections on CUT's evolving HR Summit. We are excited to be part of the journey.
You're super excited.
I can't wait in year 5 where you actually host this in a stadium, right?
Yes.
Okay. Somewhere in Bloemfontein. But we need to keep dreaming.
Yes,
and that's how dreams come true, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Professor Desere Kokt, for your time and your engagement. And thank you, Maraka, for your time and engagement. And thank you for making me part of your journey and your inspirational journey to share really the journey in the human resources field that we've been at. Also for the longest time, to share our joys, our wins, as well as our challenges, and how we overcome those challenges and keep facing the sun and keep moving.
That's important.
Thank you very much. On that note, to our listeners and viewers, we have come to the end of this discussion. Thank you, ladies. Thank you very much.